Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are talking about God of War, and more specifically, all God of War games are playable on the PS5 in 2022. God of War Ragnarok is expected in 2022 and is one of the PS5's biggest releases, but every other game in the series can be played on the PS5 too. I have to wonder if they're gonna port God of War Ragnarok onto the PS4, knowing that the PS5 launch has been all but disastrous. I know they just did the same thing with Sackboy, the big, I think it was like Sackboy's Big Adventure or something like that. It was one of the launch titles for the PS5, and I remember even Capcom came out and said that Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8 was going to be a PS5 Xbox Series X exclusive because, quote unquote, they needed the SSD drive in order to accomplish all the visuals. And then all of a sudden, Resident Evil Village is also available on PS4 and standard Xbox One. So I have to wonder if God of War Ragnarok is going to get the same treatment as a result of the botched launch. But anyway, I've tangented off for too long. Let's just dig into God of War here. 2022 is a big year for the acclaimed God of War series, if only for the fact that Ragnarok is expected to release. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ragnarok expected to come out back in like this year, 2021? I don't remember. I don't remember. I think it was originally expected this year. Ever since the PlayStation 2 era, God of War has been one of Sony's flagship franchises for its line of consoles and handhelds. Those who are able have been transitioning to the new generation with the PS5, which was released just over a year ago, and those playing catch up on all the great PlayStation exclusives may be looking to play through every God of War title before Ragnarok drops. The hack and slash series began back in 2005 with the original God of War on the PS2. Players take control of Kratos, who was formerly a commanding officer and a great warrior under the Greek god of War Ares. Tragedy befalls Kratos when he is tricked by Ares into killing his own wife and daughter. A ruse Ares hoped would mold Kratos into an even greater killer by detaching him from his emotional anchors. Kratos' anger and violent revenge for Ares' betrayal are the narrative impetus that began the series, which now has a total of 7 games, soon to be 8. Throughout the life cycles of the PS2, 3, and Portable, God of War remained a fixed-camera hack-and-slash game with interspersed puzzle solving and platforming. The original game had 2 direct sequels in God of War 2 and 3, a major prequel in Ascension, and 2 PSP titles, Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, which fit into the God of War timeline before and after the original game respectively. It wasn't until the PS4 soft reboot, also simply titled God of War, that the series would undergo any significant gameplay evolution. 2018's God of War adopted an over-the-shoulder third-person perspective, brought Kratos into Norse mythology, and was welcomed with widespread acclaim from both critics and longtime fans. So essentially, like every other Sony exclusive ever, post The Last of Us, with the over-the-shoulder, third-person perspective gameplay, blah, 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 blah. Those hoping to see the evolution of the series for themselves, or just replay them all on PS5 in preparation for Ragnarok, are in luck because every single game in the series is playable on Sony's latest console. So now let's dig into God of War Ragnarok's release date. God of War Ragnarok will, of course, be playable on the PlayStation 5, and it's the first game in the series designed specifically for the new console. It is releasing on the PS4 as well. See, that's what I thought. I thought it was also releasing on PS4 just based on the fact that, the PS5 launch was totally fucking botched. It is releasing on the PS4 as well, though, and was reportedly always intended to be cross-generational. There are very few details on how exactly the 2 versions of God of War Ragnarok will differ, but playing on the PS5 will likely be the definitive experience. PS5 players will have the added benefit of haptic feedback and adaptive triggers thanks to the DualShock controller, faster load times courtesy of the PS5 solid-state drive, the SSD drive for those that don't know, and will likely enjoy a higher frame rate. Many who have already opted into the new generation were hoping Ragnarok would be a PS5 exclusive, but Sony probably didn't want to miss out on being able to sell the game to a much larger PS4 player base. And why is there a much larger PS4 player base over the PS5 right now? Because of the botched launch of the PS5. Although the end of 2018's God of War all but assured a sequel would come at some point, Ragnarok wasn't officially confirmed until the PlayStation 5 was revealed in 2020. Even then, it didn't have a name for another year, finally getting the Ragnarok subtitle at the 2021 PlayStation Showcase. Even before it had its official name, though, Ragnarok was delayed into 2022 after its original 2021 release date. See, I'm not misremembering anything. I knew God of War Ragnarok was originally supposed to come out this year in 2021. But where was I? After its original 2021 release date seemed to become increasingly unlikely. Like so many games over the past year or two, Ragnarok fell victim to developmental issues arising from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, along with a few other problems. There's no specific release date or even a more precise release window inside of 2022 for God of War Ragnarok, but barring unforeseen circumstances, Sony and Santa Monica Studios seem confident it will come to PS4 and PS5 in 2022. Yeah, boys and girls, remember a time when game sequels would only come out like a year apart from each other? God of War came out in 2005, God of War 2 came out in 2006, God of War 3 came out in 2007 on the PlayStation 3. You know, God of War 1 and 2 on PlayStation 2, God of War 3 on PlayStation 3 all came out within a year of each other. Now, good luck getting a sequel even 3 years removed from the initial game. You know, sometimes it's like 5 years removed at this point. But anyway, I'm tangenting for too long, and that's, you know, and the last part of this article, all God of War PlayStation games available on PS5 now. In the meantime, for those lucky enough to have gotten their hands on a PS5, yeah, the 10 of you that have gotten a PS5 as of late 2020, every single God of War game that has come before Ragnarok can be played on the new console, albeit with some caveats. For starters, the 2018 soft reboot, the 2018 soft reboot and God of War III Remastered, both native PS4 games, are playable on PS5. Both even run at 60 frames per second after God of War 2018 received a PS5 patch a few months after the new console launched. If I'm not mistaken, I think God of War and God of War 2 on the PS2 also ran at 60 frames a second, because the game is just, it was just a hack and slash game. It wasn't really too graphically demanding. Unfortunately, God of War 3 is the only pre-PS4 game in the series to have gotten a remaster, which is directly compatible with the PS5. It's arguably the best title of the original fixed camera games, so it's not a bad place to start, but anyone looking to play the whole series will need to utilize other means. I actually heard people saying that, I've actually heard from friends of mine that actually prefer God of War 2 to God of War 3. But I don't know. I haven't played the God of War games in a long time. I remember not really digging the first game. I never played the second one, and I played a little bit of the third game. And I'm probably gonna have gameplay footage of God of War 3 because I recently just picked up God of War 3 Remastered this last Black Friday. So you know, I might revisit God of War 3. Anyway, back to this. Luckily, every God of War game that precedes Ragnarok is available on PlayStation now. Even God of War 3 Remastered, the 2018 game, Sony's game streaming service has high definition versions of the original God of War and God of War 2. Ascension was developed to support 1080p, but Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta should reach full HD as well, providing a stable enough internet connection. This is because PS Now appears to use each game's PS3 port. Unfortunately, this means the original God of War, God of War 2, the two PSP titles, and Ascension can only be streamed and not downloaded from PS Now. The service only lets PS5 users download PS2 and PS4 games to the console, since the PS3's architecture made backwards compatibility difficult for the PS4 and 5, one of the many reasons PlayStation's backwards compatibility pales in comparison to Xbox's. Unless Sony decides to have every game in the series ported to the PS5, a PlayStation Now subscription is likely the most cost-effective way to play through the entire God of War series. The alternative would be finding a used PS3 and getting the God of War saga, a collection including every game pre-Ascension, which would have to be purchased separately. And if I'm not mistaken, with the God of War saga, I believe Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta is only available as a download code. I do have the two God of War collections on the PS3. You had the first God of War collection that came with God of War and God of War 2, and then you had the God of War Origins collection that came with Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta. That would be your best bet if you have a PS3, is find the God of War collection and the God of War Origins collection. Don't spring for the God of War saga, because like I said, if I'm remembering correctly, Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta came on a came as a download code. So if you're gonna buy God of War Saga used, or you're gonna buy it brand new now, that code may not work. So you're not getting all the God of War. So you're not getting all the God of War games. The PlayStation 5 is a wonderful console. I'm just gonna have to take this author's word for it, because it looks like this author was one of only 10 people that got their hands on a PS5. But one of its drawbacks comes from its rather limited backwards compatibility. PlayStation Now is a fine service, but many of the God of War games being from the PS3 isn't very helpful to those with less than ideal internet speeds. But why can't Sony and Santa Monica Studios invest in a God of War Ascension remaster? They did it with God of War 3. God of War 3 was a PS3 game, so why didn't they do that with God of War Ascension? If they did it with God of War 3, God of War Ascension should not be as difficult. Plus, they made Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta work on a PS3, so porting that over to the PS5, aside from some optimization issues, also shouldn't be that much difficult. Same with the original God of War 1 and 2, because it's not like the DualShock has changed since the PS2, other than getting that stupid ass touchpad that really most developers only use as an extra button. But anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself and tangenting too long, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video right here. If you guys stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos, so I will just see you guys on next time.